One other thing that you just taught me. So usually when people ask me, hey, Cyrus, well, I don't really know that much about tech. Even if they do like some type of tech sales boot camp, they're afraid that they think, okay, well, what if I'm kind of thrown out there to the wolves? And I usually tell them, well, yeah, most tech companies, you're going to have, 2 to 3 months of training, but you said you had 6 months.
Yes.
So can you tell me, I guess in tech sales, is there usually a little bit more grace period or more training, or was that still unique with the company?
I think it was, in this situation, was very unique with the company. My company happens to do a program, so they'll hire you full time, but they kind of want to go like really train you. Okay, how do you have a discovery call? How do you learn about the products that you will be selling before they throw you to the wolves, so to speak? But I know that there's a lot of companies that still train you, maybe take a month to do that as they transition you to, be put in front of customers. What I tell people is that if you work in tech sales, you want to take the initiative to prepare yourself for it. So some of the things I recommend is look into any educational materials that your work offers. So your company, they want you to sell their product, but they can't just make you sell a product. You have no idea what the product does,
Exactly,
So a lot of companies such as mine offer their sellers, like, here's some training on the different products that we sell so that you're prepared to, to discuss them with customers. And some of them includes like, okay, here are common objectives you might hear. Here's our good case studies we have that you could present to your clients of like, we've done this before with the product and how we've helped other clients similar to yours. So I really focus on, learning about training yourself. Another thing is finding mentors within your company. I think if you find mentors that you can shadow and maybe ask, hey, can I join your calls and sit in the back and listen to how you handle your calls and your conversations with the customer? That can help me. I used to do that. I would say, hey, can I join your call and, just sit in the back and see,
how would they, have you ever asked someone to, have you ever asked a shadow? Because there are a lot of people that are like, okay, they hear this, they're like, okay, it sounds simple. They're like, but what if they tell me no? Or what if I'm bugging them? What if I'm nagging them?
So that in that situation, I personally have never had someone say no. I think when you're on a team, your team, yes, you each have your own territory, so a list of accounts where you're selling into, and it seems like, okay, everybody's out there for themselves. But at the same time, the fact that there's not really overlap, the team just wants you to do well. Everybody wants you to grow together, because again, if your company makes more money, then the pay is probably going to be greater for everybody. I've personally, maybe I tend to gravitate towards coworkers and colleagues where I know that, they want to help me. But yes, find people you trust and ask them like, hey, I want to be part of this conversation. And what I tend to do is when I join those calls, if I hear something that I like that they say, like a certain question, I'm like, wow, I never thought to ask that, but this opens the gateway to a lot, like, a very interesting conversation from the customer, then I'll write it down so that I can use it for my calls later. I'm not a person who reinvents the wheel. I don't like to do that. I take what works for me and I apply it to my own, personal situation. So that's been my focus, and it's been really helpful for me. Another recommendation I have to get promoted quickly or to, really do well in an SDR role, I would say is be willing to ask a lot of questions and just be very focused on, be resilient in a sense. So when you're an SDR, you're going to be reaching out to a lot of net new customers, people that have never talked to your company before. And you'll hear a lot of rejection, or you just won't hear anything. And so what has
when you mean not hear anything, you mean like them not responding?
Yeah, them not responding. So you reach out on email or you call and nobody picks up, and it could be heartbreaking because you're like, well, I need you to pick up because I'm trying to get the business. I need someone to talk to. And I think the key is being resilient and realizing, okay, I have to just keep doing my best. I have to find creative ways to reach out, and I just have to keep, have a plan in place. How many touch points am I going to have for a specific customer? What exactly, maybe there's a certain emailing outline that I can create where, I can customize it to each prospect, but at the same time, it saves me time on, reaching out. So little things like that have been super helpful for me, and I give that advice to all new SDRs, working in tech sales, especially if they want to get promoted quickly.
Yeah. So you've been an SDR. And for clarity, SDR and BDR is the same thing. It's just
similar.
different titles.
Yeah, every company has slightly different titles. I mean, even an account exec, sometimes they'll call you a solutions consultant at times, or maybe a sales. Like there's different names. So it just depends on your company.
Yeah.
But I think the traditional naming would be SDR/BDR, and then you move up to account exec.